Good afternoon, and thank you all for being here. Most of the time, we use our weekly Tuesday press conference to talk about a variety of things that are happening around our city. Today, we're going to focus entirely on the Louisville Metro Police Department. Over the last few weeks, we've learned about a series of sexual harassment allegations within the department itself. Some new details have emerged in the last few days. They're deeply troubling and disappointing. It's unacceptable and inexcusable. Everyone should be treated with respect by their colleagues, and everyone has the responsibility to treat others with respect. That should be true in every workplace, and certainly that's the standard for everyone who's a part of Louisville Metro government, including LMPD. Within LMPD, the vast majority of our 1,000+ sworn officers and staff understand that. And I want to speak directly to them for a moment, to the officers and staff who are doing their job the right way. Thank you. Thank you for putting your lives on the line. Thank you for treating other people with respect. Fellow officers, every member of our community. I'm deeply grateful for your public service and appreciate your dedication and professionalism. And I'm sorry that some of your colleagues have made your job more difficult. I appreciate how most of you understand that, how in so many ways, how policing today, how policing used to be done, is not the way it is now done. Behavior that was once tolerated will no longer be tolerated. There have been a lot of changes at LMPD in recent years. There's important progress being made as we work to reduce crime, improve public safety, and build the trust and respect that are so crucial to the relationship between our police and the public. But in order to do that, we have to strengthen the culture of trust and respect within the department itself. The sexual harassment allegations we've seen and the way they've been handled make it clear that there need to be even more changes at LMPD. That's why I'm demanding significant reforms in policy, in training, in victim support, and in the culture of LMPD, so that this does not happen again. Also, as you know, 2 weeks ago, I placed Jacquelyn Gwinn-Villaroel on administrative leave from her duties as chief, while we brought in an independent investigator to look into allegations and the handling of sexual harassment allegations within the department. That investigation is ongoing and will continue. This morning, I accepted Jacquelyn Gwinn-Villaroel's resignation as chief of the Louisville Metro Police Department. I thank her for her service to our city. Deputy Chief Paul Humphrey has been serving as acting chief. He has embraced the role, the responsibility that comes with it, and the need to continue implementing LMPD in many ways. He understands that what's needed for this department to move forward is to continue making improvements, to continue fighting crime, and to continue strengthening relationships with the entire community. I value his perspective, his experience, the respect he's earned from his colleagues, and his leadership of LMPD improvements demanded by the United States Department of Justice. Effective immediately, I'm naming Paul Humphrey as the interim chief of police. That means he is fully empowered to make the decisions necessary to reduce gun violence, to improve public safety, to manage the department, to take disciplinary action, to implement the policy and priority changes that both of us agree are necessary, particularly in the area of sexual harassment. And we're announcing some of these changes right now to ensure that LMPD is developing a culture of respect and protection for victims of sexual harassment. They include providing increased support for victims before, during, and after the complaint reporting process, making it much easier for LMPD officers and staff to report sexual harassment complaints through multiple avenues. I've also directed LMPD to change their sexual harassment policies to better align with the policies of the rest of Louisville Metro government. LMPD will also provide broader and better training on sexual harassment across all levels of the department. I'm talking about training on appropriate workplace conduct and training that provides clear standards, expectations, and consequences for the entire police force and department staff. There will also be specialized training for counselors, chaplains, HR staff, supervisors, and others who need to know how to assist someone who is filing a sexual harassment complaint. Investigators will be provided with better training on how to handle these specific types of complaints. LMPD will also prioritize the need for quick, fair, and thorough impartial investigations, along with appropriate and timely discipline whenever it's warranted. Interim Chief Humphrey will give more details in a moment, and there will be more announcements to come. Sexual harassment will not be tolerated in LMPD or any part of Louisville Metro government. LMPD will continue to make improvements. That is our commitment. That is our focus. The bottom line is that the people of Louisville expect all of us in public service to work together to make our city safer, stronger, and healthier. Chief?
I'm going to go in a little bit of detail of what the mayor spoke about, but first I'll say that fostering an atmosphere and a respectful environment within LMPD for all employees is vital to the overall success of this agency and this city. Employees and officers have to feel comfortable in the place that they work in order to serve the public. We are committed to preventing and addressing any sexual harassment within our organization. It is important that we get this right and uphold the values and standards of this department. Culture trumps policy any day. We can change all the policies that we want, but we have to reinforce those through the culture of the department. We are dedicated to creating a culture of respect, where every individual feels both valued and safe to do their job. Respect and dignity are fundamental values and ethics for this department. Today we're announcing a few policy updates related to our sexual harassment policy in order that they more closely align with Louisville Metro government policy at large. The updates will shift the need to prove sexual harassment from a burden of severe or pervasive action to one that has an unreasonableness standard to making people feel uncomfortable in the workplace. Additionally, sexual harassment is more clearly defined within the policy, whereas before it was lumped in with multiple forms of harassment and racial discrimination. It now has its own exclusive definition. As we previously said, violations of these policies will be taken seriously, and the policy will reflect that the consequences for violation of these policies will be up to and including termination if necessary. We're working to streamline the reporting process for avenues to report sexual harassment, both internally and externally. Internally, previously, it was reported through the chain of command unless there was a conflict within that chain of command. Now, an officer or a member is no longer prohibited by policy or inhibited by policy to report to anyone. They can report directly to the special investigations, they can report through their chain of command, they can report directly to the chief's office or to LMPD Human Resources. Externally, They can report to the Office of the Inspector General, the Ethics Tip Line, or Metro Human Resources. These are all avenues that anyone who feels that they have been victimized can report to directly. We are going to be implementing better and more thorough training for the entire body of Louisville Metro Police. That includes civilian staff, command staff, and officers. We have already begun to undertake this through training with our executive staff and our command staff that was put on last week by the Jefferson County Attorney's Office to better understand both the policy, reporting requirements, signs and symptoms, and behaviors that are acceptable and unacceptable in the workplace. We are developing this training on how to report incidents, what to do if you have witnessed sexual harassment, and the appropriate response for those receiving and/or handling reports of sexual harassment. We will also be initiating specific training for people who will investigate claims of sexual harassment. We recognize that that is a very unique type of complaint, and it takes a unique skill set in order to investigate that properly and appropriately. We also want to make sure that all of the support mechanisms that we have in place are there to support people in their time of need after these types of incidents. We want employees who have been victimized by sexual harassment or feel they have been victimized by sexual harassment to understand that we are there to support them to stay whole and become whole employees. These support services include our chaplains, our victim services unit, as well as our mental health services that operate out of the Summit Wellness Center. We're also working on external support services for officers and employees to be able to reach out to. Understand that LMPD is going to have a zero tolerance policy for sexual harassment. We will take this very, very seriously. I am confident that both the policy updates, the training updates are going to be impactful to our culture and how we approach issues related to sexual harassment. I am in a process of learning. We are all in a process of learning. Everyone in here has made mistakes before. Some mistakes have greater consequences than others, and we have to recognize that. Some mistakes are far more impactful on people than others, and we cannot allow that to negatively impact other people. And they must hold consequences that are severe and swift. We must be better at creating a culture within our police department and our community to hold each other accountable and to improve every single day. Lastly, I'll say that the men and women of LMPD deserve to be proud of their department. We've had too many self-inflicted wounds over the years. The men and women who work here are really, really good people. They're good-hearted people who signed up to serve. We as a command staff are going to do everything in our power to make them proud to be part of this department because they deserve that. And that's what we're here for. Because they have to go out and protect people and keep the community safe so that we can focus on crime issues, community issues, quality of life issues, not internal issues that we've created for ourselves. The community deserves that. The men and women of LMPD deserve that.
Thank you. Both of us are happy to take a few questions from the media. We'll just go across the room this way. We'll get to you guys. Roberto.
Are the new changes to the policy around sexual harassment reflected in the SOPs that LMPD makes public online? And if not, will LMPD make those public, the changes?
Yes, so they will be going out by close of business today. The way our policy updates work, they are posted and they are not active for 10 days. However, we will issue a special order that goes in effect immediately with those updates.
The investigation into the Lauders began 2 years ago. So why their suspensions now?
We'll both answer the question. You go first.
Yes, we have placed people on administrative leave. That has historically been the practice. In all honesty, there was a little bit of confusion about what authority I had and what authority I didn't. Frankly, what this comes down to is we want to make sure that people, and these are serious allegations. Placing them on administrative leave is no indication of guilt or innocence by any party. But we want to make sure that the investigation is conducted thoroughly and completely without any interference. We want to make sure that the parties involved, those accused, they're in decision-making positions that are high-stress positions in and of themselves. And we want to make sure that under these allegations, they're capable of making appropriate decisions. And so they need to be at home right now while this investigation is conducted so that we can do it thoroughly.
Can you address, though, why the lag in time if an investigation began 2 years ago into these issues, and why now?
Two answers. First, this is a new day. This is a new day for LMPD. This is a new day for Louisville Metro government. As you can hear from the policy changes that we're implementing today with haste, this is a new day and we are doing things differently. And the approach that Chief Humphrey just announced is what we believe this department, this government, this city needs now. Additionally, with respect to the time lag, as you're aware, there was a lawsuit filed by the Fraternal Order Police, which paused the investigation for over a year, approximately a year. That is very frustrating so some of this could have happened earlier were it not for that lawsuit that intervened in the investigation and kept it from reaching its conclusion when it was initially filed.
Can you confirm which officers are on administrative leave as of right now? Is it both Lauders as well as Major Carter? Can you list them?
Yes, all of them are.
All of them are. Any additional ones from Officer Silk's allegations, those as well? Both of them?
No.
Yeah, one of them was.
One of those complaints has already been adjudicated. The other one is on leave while it's still pending investigation. That officer has been on leave since that investigation was initiated.
So these are 4 additional officers?
No, 3.
Can I ask, Chief Humphrey, can I ask you a question directly? I mean, you are now the 6th either permanent or interim chief just in the last 4 years. People have heard the talk before about changing culture. What can you say to the community directly to convince them that your words will be different this time around?
I think I've been here before, not in the position as chief, but I've been in front of you plenty of times. And I think everyone in this room can trust that what I've said, I've done. I have no problem admitting where I've come up short, and I have no problem putting in work to make sure that things improve. All of these people sitting over here and all those officers out on the street deserve good leadership. That's what's going to be provided to them because they want to work their butts off to make sure that people are kept safe. People crave leadership, right? They crave good, solid leadership. They crave stability. I can't control what happened in the past. The only thing I can control is what we do from here on. And what I am promising to you, to the community and this agency is we are going to have solid leadership. We are going to have clear instructions, plans, and communication to both officers and the public about how we are going to behave and how we are going to address crime. People need to know what is expected of them. No one has a problem with being held to high expectations. They just need to know what the expectations are, and that's what we're going to do is set those expectations very high, and we expect officers to perform at a very high level because they're capable of it, and they want to.
With the DOJ overseeing you guys in the foreseeable future, are you prepared to lead under those conditions?
Yes, I've been dealing with the DOJ for the last 2.5, 3 years. I have no problem with leading through a consent decree. I am very comfortable that we are going to be the first major city that gets a consent decree and actually executes it appropriately in order to make sure that the city is kept safe and we do things right.
I'll add one thing there, Chief. Okay. Just one last thing on that last question that you asked, Isaiah. Interim Chief Humphrey has been the lead for LMPD in working with the DOJ on negotiating the consent decree. And now, of course, it will be his responsibility to complete that along with our administration and then implement it as well. So there is no one in the city that is better versed on what the consent decree is, what it's asking for, and what the expectations are than Chief Humphrey. Josh?
Chief Humphrey was in that May 22nd meeting where Major Lauder raised those allegations. Did you
The investigation into that will continue, as I mentioned. I'm, based on what I know at this point in time, I'm comfortable with the decision that I've made. I have confidence in Chief Humphrey, and I think we have dealt with that issue in the appropriate fashion.
And what do you think, what were those details that emerged in recent days that you mentioned? Are you able to share any of that?
Well, a lot of the details that emerged in lawsuits that had been filed is what I was referring to.
Since that last lawsuit was filed on Thursday morning?
No, that was what I was referencing. Rachel, then I'll get back to you.
Yeah, so, there will be a search for a new permanent chief, and so when will that, be, prompted? What will that look like? Will it be similar to, the, previous one?
Right now, LMPD needs to focus on the improvements that Chief Humphrey and I have spoke about, on improving the culture of LMPD, on implementing these changes for folks that have been a victim of sexual harassment, that need to better improve their reporting, the training related to sexual harassment. LMPD needs to focus on preventing violent crime in our city, on reducing the amount of crime in our city, and holding those accountable who commit it. LMPD needs to focus on completing these negotiations with the consent decree and then implementing the consent decree. And so for all of those reasons, both of us agree that right now the appropriate path is for Paul to be the interim chief of police. There will not be a search at this time. All of us at LMPD are going to focus on what I just described and many other things that LMPD needs to focus on, what our administration wants to support LMPD on focusing on. And so right now there is no search that is being conducted. Yes. We will be paying Jacquelyn Gwinn-Villaroel 4 months of pay pursuant to a contract to assist with some transition issues and to be available on the need she's available. So she will be receiving 4 additional months of pay. Joe.
No.
Mayor, was this reaction to the sexual harassment claims made by Lauder during the meeting, was that the straw that broke the camel's back in terms of your belief in the chief? Were there other issues that you were concerned about, like potentially her being on the Brady list?
I'm a look forward, excuse me, I'm a look forward type of person. And given what LMPD is dealing with right now, with everything related to sexual harassment that we've been describing, and with all of the other important initiatives that LMPD needs to implement, I believe this is the right direction for the department, for our city, and that is why I accepted Chief Gwinn-Villaroel's resignation this morning.
When, oh, was this morning?
This morning.
Did you ask for her resignation, or did she offer it on her own?
I'm going to keep the conversation that we had private, and so I accepted her resignation.
Would you have fired her based on what you know?
I'm not going to answer that question. I'm going to keep, she has resigned, and I accepted her resignation.
Is the speed of the investigation about the same, or has this expedited it, just given the lawsuits that have come out with?
The speed, I believe, will be the same. This has no impact on the speed or focus on any one of the investigation that's underway right now.
So about 3 more weeks.
That is our hope. From my perspective, the sooner the better, but Mr. Byer needs to complete it, and so he is driving that. Thank you all very much.